Very good Dhamma understanding, Huan Zai. So that created the situation for you. As a doctor, you were there busy running around helping the patient, everything. Then suddenly you become the victim. You become the patient in the room. So it's an experience. But like I told your parents, don't worry. It is a good condition to prepare you to have better understanding of what the Dhamma is. Because, like the Buddha said, suffering is to be understood. The first noble truth, second turning. So to understand, you must go through it yourself. And since you are young, you all have the parami. When your parent came and see me, I say, you don't worry. You do what you have to do. Well, this is a reality. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Condition like that, things be like that. Then you have to go through. Then you will understand how a patient feels when they undergo operation. Then how, when there is condition for them to actually detect all this early, is a lot better than later. Then, like what you have gone through, you are still young, energetic, and you have some form of Dhamma understanding, and that will be a very good condition to actually let you all understand the Dhamma and life. Because Dhamma is such, like the Buddha said, the Four Noble Truths is essentially what his teaching is all about. The first Noble Truth is about the realities of life and existence. So this reality is common to all of humanity. People have to understand that. Not only we are subject to all this old age, sickness and death, birth, separation, when we are with people whom we don't like, when our body is diseased, then when we are not getting what we want, expectation in life is not met. When things don't go our way, suffering will arise. So the final summary is very important. In short, it is due to our sakayaditi or self-delusion that condition our deluded mind or mundane mind to grasp and cling onto the five aggregates of form and mind as the me and the I. The egoic thought process is the cause of suffering. Because that egoic mind created the atta, the identity. And the atta and the identity is the personal, what they call persona, or the personality, means the egoic personality, I exist. And because of that, there is fear of this I getting sick, getting old and die. Then there is this thought of parents, related one, family members, all things. So these are the thought movement that create suffering, born of attachment, clinging, grasping. That's why it's for you to go through, experience, and learn. But when you have the Dhamma stabilized and understood, your understanding will transform your thinking, transform the way you understand life. Because based on the Dhamma understanding, these are reality of life and existence. Not only we have to confront every living beings who live life long enough, they will have to confront all this reality. So if it's a common reality, then why do we develop the delusion of like lamenting over it, getting unhappy, miserable, fearful over it? Yeah, these are realities. Not only you, not only us, everyone. If they have to go through life long enough, the condition will arise and they have to confront. So whether a person suffer or doesn't suffer depends on the understanding. So the understanding is, this form and mind is a condition arising entity, not a permanent and changing entity, like the Buddha said. These are the five aggregates of form and mind. he know you, he know me, not real. Because this is karmically conditional for us to arise as a human being. So we have a physical body, we have a consciousness trapped inside, and this is subject to karma. That's it, finish. And when you understand that, you use it to live. But this is not your true nature. This one is karmically conditioned, dependent originating, non-self, anatta, goes the way of nature. So we accept. When we accept, we have different understanding. And that clarity liberates us. Whatever that has happened or arisen, these are realities of life and existence, condition and that, things are like that. Is related to our past, our karmic, our whatever conditioning that bring about this. That if we can accept this reality, be at peace, we do not create unnecessary wrong thought that will condition our fear, our worry, our anxiety, our sorrow, our lamentation, our insecurity. Yeah, all this negativity of mind state is of no use. It will not help you to recover. It will create more negative energy and tendency and make it worse. Lower your immune system and other things. So if you can develop this understanding and tell yourself, this is not me. This is just karmically conditioned vehicle and tool for me to come. So I make use of it. Wherever there is condition to make use of it. That if it is subject to the reality, let it go through. Because ultimately, no one dies. No one born. No one sick and no one old. That's why the teachings say there is no mark of a self cultivating or born into this world, no mark of others, no mark of life, existence, Dhamma, phenomena. All these are within the conditioned world, within the unconditioned. They don't exist. So when you have this type of understanding, your mind free, liberated. You do what you have to do. This form of mind is subject to karma. So when you need to ask for forgiveness, ask for forgiveness. That's what I told your parents. And also, there is another part. After that, you can actually invoke power of merits. That's why I told your parents. They have a lot of merits where they do this Dhamma work. They have been helping out a lot, and they have great affinity with our Kayamittas and also the Triple Gem, all the great beings' nature. So all this, you can evoke power of merits for causes and conditions for your daughter, Minjun, to have a successful, peaceful and safe operation. And may she recover to good health soon, So these are possible. She don't have to go through the second step. After ask for forgiveness, determine not to commit this negativity of karma again by following the advice of the Buddha to avoid all evil, cultivate wholesomeness, develop wholesomeness and merits, then meditate to purify the mind, to develop the wisdom. This one they have been doing. So the second step, they don't have to do. By doing all this is following the Dhamma way. That's why I can see after your operation, when the good news come, your mom, your dad, their face serene again, and they become happy, joy, because the first evening, I remember when they came over to see me, I think it was 5 something to 6 p.m. I think, before your next day's operation. There is so much fear, worry inside, but not the type where normal people don't have the Dhamma. They have the Dhamma, but not stable inside there. That's why he said, like your mom mentioned, like it or not, there is still this reaction, this emotion, because your own daughter, so close. And from Brother Teoh, he is more steady. He just said, Brother Teoh, we have a situation. So that one is a lot better. But I can still see there is concern his worry, but much more stable. Then he starts to explain to me. I say, don't worry. Based on my understanding, you all just have to do what you have to do and everything will be fine. Yeah, I told them, you all have the Dhamma, you all have the merits, you all have the understanding. So, on her behalf, ask for forgiveness. Then Minjun, also young, have the Dhamma. She also straight away knew, like what she shared just now. She knows it's payback time. And like she said, maybe she is young, she haven't gone through enough life experience and all that. He take it quite easily. He can handle it all that. So what she went through is good because she can see all of the noble truth, first noble truth reality unfolding in front of her own eyes. And also when she go through the operation, it's very good. Normally as doctor, we do an operation, the anesthesia will like put the anesthesia and knock the patient off. So during that few hours when they do the operation on you, you are completely without consciousness. At that one, when you try to recall what happened, but you can't. Maybe just before the anesthesia take effect, you can still remember. But after that one, like blank, like that phase of your life, that few hours, completely without memory, without consciousness, where they numb that part that is responsible for cognitive memory and all those things. So because of that, you only become conscious after the anesthesia effect is over. Then normally, if you don't have that consciousness resisting, your body heals very naturally, the heartbeat, everything, where there is no thought to resist it. The natural healing also will be there. That's why they have to put the anesthesia, numb you off, then they do the surgery and quickly fix it back. Then after that you should recover. But for your case, I was told you recover very fast. I saw the video your mom sent to us. When you come out of the OT, operation theater, when you become conscious, you somehow can smile and I think show your thumbs up. They told you your parents are viewing the video and all this thing. So I saw her very bubbly and cheerful. That's why I said, no problem. So sadhu to you, Minjun. Very good. Maybe we let Minjun say a few more. Yeah, you continue, Minjun. Yeah.
A little bit weird feeling because they know me and I know them, and then when it comes to the checkup, where they put fingers into faces, so it's like, okay lah, like that lah.
Yeah, very good.
Quite lucky because, and then other departments, lecturers from other departments also came to check on me, and then they went through all my history, and then we got to discuss from my record lah, because my record not very nice lah. Some the blood work not good, and then they were saying, there were some, how to say 有的操作不规范 so it's like 这一刀是要挨的啦 it's meant to be 啦 I meant to be cut open.
Yeah, meant to be. Because
before the day that I was discharged, that afternoon I was discharged on afternoon 3 p.m.
Yeah.
And then on 2 o'clock I have to still get a jab, so it's like 注定. Everything went very well. I almost, but I didn't 差一点没有做成手术了 because there's no people to sign the papers. My coach actually stood up to help me sign the papers.
That is very helpful of that, yeah. I was told by your mom because when you were there, you are very helpful, you are very kind. And a lot of the hospital staff, they like you because of your manner, your character, and your humor. And you are really dedicated and devoted as a maybe doctor or as a student doing the masters and other things. That's why when it comes to your turn, a lot of them, they supported you, they came and helped you, and they even stand up for you. So these are very tangible type of proof that karma is very important. You reap what you sow. When you are kind to people, when you are good to people, when you have the sincere heart, all this will come back to you. That's why whatever career you are in, livelihood you are in, the Buddha say there is such thing as a noble eightfold path factor as right living. You have to live your life following the Dhamma way. Then you will reap the fruit of that wholesomeness. So all this is very fruitful and very good experience and exposure for you. When you grow up, you become very different. This type of experience will enhance your Dhamma understanding and approach towards your career as a doctor in the future. And these are very, very beautiful experience. Minjan, sadhu to you. Anything else? Homia, yeah, definitely homia. Because you have, Ming Ta, Hao Ming, the parents, they are very, I should say, not only loving, caring, they are very responsible, and they have the Dhamma. They really provide for you, care for you, and give the best to you.
So many things that got wrong, so many things went wrong, and then at the last minute it actually got solved.
Yeah, resolved. That's why early detection, blessing in disguise. So all this will happen. That's why now you will have stronger understanding and faith in the teaching. Very good. Anything else, Minjan?
Very, very lucky.
Okay. Sadhu. Let us rejoice with the good say. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Now you continue to listen. We will continue from our side. Okay. Today is the 4th of February, 2022. We are just now was not recorded, so I had to relate back some earlier sharing that we had before we actually put on the mic. Let me start by me saying a few words about the importance of having Dhamma. Because without Dhamma, life can be pretty difficult. It's not easy for normal people to go through life, to endure the up and down of life. Without Dhamma, living beings tend to develop this delusion and get themselves entangled in life and develop a lot of unnecessary suffering and misery. So Dhamma is basically the teachings of the Buddha, which is also basically truth. Truth are natural laws that governs life and existence. So if you understand this noble truth, which is the essence of the Buddha's teaching, you will understand life. Where these 4 noble truths, they explain to us clearly the essence of the Buddha's teaching, which is basically explaining to us the realities of life and existence. It covers both the mundane and the supramundane aspect of life. And when you understand them, you understand life, you know how to live life. That's why just now in the earlier sharing I said, if you have this Dhamma understanding, you will become very different. Because without this Dhamma understanding, you cannot understand the secret of life. When you have this Dhamma understanding, you can understand the deep secret of life. Then you know how to live life. And when you know how to live life, you will have the good and noble life. You don't have to suffer unnecessarily. The other aspect about life is, like the Buddha said, we are all born our karma, heir to our karma, conditioned and supported by our karma. We are what we are because of our karma. So everyone is subject to this law. This is the fifth daily contemplation. So if we understand this, we will understand the importance of karma. That's why to have the good life, you must take care of karma. When you take care of karma, you take care of your life. And how do we take care of our karma? You have to follow the advice of the Buddha to avoid all evil, do good, and purify our mind. And how do we do that? We have to train our mind to develop the mindfulness, the heedfulness, so that we can see things as they are, so that we can understand truth, we can observe clearly, we can insight into phenomena, to awaken to the universal characteristics of impermanent, suffering state, and empty nature or non-self nature, anicca, dukkha, and anatta. That's why when you train your mind to develop such quality as mindfulness leading to heedfulness, you will have that ability to understand life, and that is wisdom. That's why when you take care of mind, you take care of karma, because to avoid all evil, you need to be mindful. You need to understand what constitutes evil. And you also need to use this mindfulness or awareness to observe, to develop the wisdom or the insight into life, where you can insight into phenomena, into the universal characteristic, and then awaken. You become enlightened. And when you are enlightened, you are no longer deluded. That's why without delusion, you don't have to suffer. You understand the Four Noble Truths very clearly. The reality of life and existence, the cause of arising of suffering and misery, and how suffering need not be, and all this can end. Then the fourth Noble Truth is how to apply the Noble Eightfold Path to enable you to overcome all of suffering. That's why the Buddha said, if you cultivate this Noble Eightfold Path, it will lead to the end of all suffering, which is the enlightenment in the here and the now that we are looking for. Without the enlightenment, you will suffer, you will be afflicted. So the summary is very important. If you don't understand life, you will become afflicted. If you understand life, you will become beautiful. You will live the good and noble life. So to understand life is to understand the nature's law that governs life and existence. That's why it starts with the law of karma. Then we train our mind to be heedful, to be mindful. Then we use it to cultivate. So that was the summary. That's why Dhamma understanding, leading to our ability to cultivate this noble truth, to realize it, is the ultimate goal of all Dhamma practitioners, or Buddhists who wants to understand life and develop the good condition to have the good life. Then after that, I open up and ask everybody to share whatever they want to share. The last 1 year, what happened. Then also, whatever Dhamma question they may have, they can also ask. Then they can also share their experience in life, what they go through. So we start with the host. So Brad Teoh start, which was very good. His sharing was very good. He said, although we go through these 2 years of pandemic, initially, he said, many things happened within these 2 years. And it let him reflect deep into the teaching, the Dhamma, and life. Then he realized there are many realities that is been spoken by the Buddha in the teaching, and the various Dhamma understanding that he has taught us, being shared by me and expounded by me as how to confront this First Noble Truth reality, which is a common reality to all of humanity when it hits us. When the causes and conditions arise for us to go through, then as per his sharing, which was very good, he said, it is not straightforward, very easy type of thing. It's not just a piece of cake. After you listen to the Dhamma with that knowledge, you think you are ready to confront them and apply them. But he find that it's not easy. But slowly, he developed the more stable understanding. That's why after going through life, witnessing what happened to the family. So Minjun's case, of course, they clear very fast and no problem. But the father also, after a very long and healthy life of 90 plus, finally also passed away last year. Then the worst one was the neighbor of the new house they bought. The husband was a casualty to the pandemic, COVID-19. So he also passed away August last year, about 5 over months ago. Then the wife was affected. Where later on Pamasuri also shared. She just spoke to the neighbors, the wife, and she was still going through the very traumatic experience. She got to take medication, see psychiatrists, take the sleeping pill, or they call anti-depression pill. Then also that one that make you sleep on to overcome insomnia, or they call it the type of drug that knock you off on. What do they call it? Sedative type of medication and all those things. Then when she spoke to her, she poured out everything, because the passing away of a loved one is not easy to handle. Without Dhamma, it will be like the neighbor, very traumatic, not easy to confront. So both Brother Teoh and Pamasuri also shared their own experience and how they were able to go through it in their own way based on the understanding that they have developed from my sharing and the teachings that they have been exposed to. So these are very good, but they want me to elaborate on it further, to share some deeper, more clear type of understanding, so that Kayamitas and living beings can confront all this in a more stable way through this sharing and understanding. So that's how we actually decided to record whatever that will follow, because I said I will answer both their questions because they are quite related, except on Pamasuri one is about Pantang Larang, which is slightly different, which is also very good, because like she said, in the past she used to have this belief that during Chinese New Year we must visit each other. But the pandemic is such, they try not to run around or do all this to subject themselves to all the unnecessary risks. So these are good understanding. Then she just let things be. She said she is no longer like so emotional when it comes to all this. Even when the neighbor talk to her, pour out the whole thing, she is not really affected like normal mundane people. Then the Pandang Larang also didn't affect her. She just accord and flow. If there's condition to visit, she will visit. So condition to invite Kayamita, she invite. So all these are very good understanding. That's why we rejoice. Then after that, I said, I will answer both their questions. So maybe I will make use of the balance of time to answer both their questions. Still good. About half an hour left. We're supposed to stop at 3. So once again, we rejoice with the wholesomeness of all Kalmitas who are able to make it to today's sharing. And also we'd like to thank the host again, Brother Teoh and Sister Pamasri, for creating such beautiful, conducive condition for us to do the sharing. There is also one part which I shared but I didn't mention just now. I said we also like to rejoice in the wholesomeness of Brother Teoh and Sister Pamasri for sincerely having the noble intention to renovate the new unit of house that they bought recently. I think maybe 1 over a year ago. Then they spent a lot of time doing the design and putting quite a bit of money to do up the renovation very well. Then they invited us over. Like I said, this is the 3rd time I came to this new way place. And it's very conducive and the energy very good. Renovation very well done. So this is a very conducive way place where it will benefit a lot of cultivator Kayamitas who later on may have the opportunity and condition to make use of it. Even their own family members later on, they will make use of it. And the altar is very beautiful, very well thought out. Then space, you look at the space, so different, although same house, mirror image, but last time with the furniture, you don't see much space. But now, you can see this one is meant for Dhamma. That's why you see space. And they did up all the aircon, everything, the curtain, the electronics and all those things. So these are very sincere, wholesome intent, which my nature rejoices because it is going to pave the way for a lot of causes and conditions for cultivators who have the condition to make use of this place, especially Kayamitas, to benefit, to develop the wholesomeness. And all this will translate into great parami for them. And this is no different from any other way place, except that it's based on clear Dhamma understanding. And people who use this place are mostly Kayamita or cultivator that has the understanding. That's why that point, do take note and rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so now I will start by answering Brother Teoh's first question. How do we cope with the First Noble Truth realities when they arise? According to Lord Buddha, the First Noble Truth that he expounded to the 5 ascetics under the first sermon. The first sermon is the first teaching that he teach after he became enlightened. to the five ascetic. And according to Lord Buddha, he said the essence of his teaching is just this Four Noble Truths. And under that Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, which is the first sermon of the Buddha after his enlightenment, he summarized all of life into this Four Noble Truths. And he mentioned it very clearly in the opening statement of his teaching. He said, avoid the two extremes. The first extreme is sensual indulgence, indulging in the senses. We have as human beings the five physical senses and the mind, the six sense door. Then the other extreme is self-mortification, tormenting yourself deludedly, thinking by doing that you will clear your karma. And finally, when all your karma is clear, they believe you can become enlightened. That is delusion. That's why I say avoid these two extremes. Indulging in pleasurable things, the senses, and tormenting yourself, self-mortification. Then he said, he himself, as the Buddha to be, he also had to understand this Four Noble Truths in his three turning, giving rise to the 12 mode or 12 aspects of his teaching, before he can proclaim to be the enlightened one. So even the Buddha to be has to understand this Four Noble Truths in his three turning to proclaim that he is enlightened. What more the living being? That's why you must understand this Four Noble Truths. And for those who understand, they will know these Four Noble Truths are so beautiful. They are like the secret of life. They explain to us the whole of life, both the mundane and the supramundane. So the first Noble Truth, the Buddha proclaimed as the reality of life and existence. He said, within the conditioned world that we live in, our universe, there is this first Noble Truth, reality. He named 8 conditions. And these 8 conditions are the realities of life and existence that each and every living being, not only human beings, living beings, you have to confront them as long as you live long enough to see through them. So confronting this 8 reality is the first Noble Truth. And according to the Buddha, this 8 reality cover all of life. Whatever you do in life, they will not fall apart from this 8 reality. The first 4 is pretty easy to understand. He said, all living beings, we are subject to birth, old age, sickness and death. If you don't have the Dhamma understanding, you attach and cling deludedly to this physical body, thinking that it's you, then you will suffer, because you will worry about you getting old, getting sick and dying. Then with birth come old age, sickness and death. So these are the realities. Everyone that is subject to birth will experience old age, sickness and death. So for us, as we go through life, as we age, we will experience them. Sometimes disease and sickness, no need to wait till you are old. It can happen anytime. You look at Min Jun, very young. Then the pandemic, a lot of young kids also have to go through the pandemic, exposing themselves to the same risk and similar risk. And many old people also succumb to it. And there are some young ones also succumb to it. Then you see the flood. You see the various type of calamity that hits the world. You have war, you have forest fire, tsunami, earthquake, and many other type of calamity. So all this impact our life. So apart from these first four, which every living being will witness as reality, the Buddha talked about the one related to our life. He said, apart from confronting birth, old age, sickness and death, you also have to confront separation. And this one is a major reality, the fifth reality. He said, separation from our loved ones, which I think most of us as Kayamita we have gone through, we have lived long enough. So separation can happen in many ways, through death, and death can happen in many ways too. Disease, sickness, or natural death. Or sometimes it can be due to murder, injury, accident, or even during pandemic, when there is this, what they call traumatic disease occurring. So sometimes it can also happen due to heart attack, which is a major killer. Then we have very traumatic type of disease like HIV and various type of very difficult and very traumatic type of disease that are quite common nowadays. Some we haven't even heard of, and the virus are mutating and creating more and more of this type of what they call very traumatic type of disease. Then apart from this, we also have the possibility of separation from our loved ones due to what they call sometimes is nature's disaster, like during crisis time, war, earthquake or whatever. You may be separated. Then apart from loved ones, we also have our wealth, our property, our whatever possession that we used to own and have. Then due to certain nature's condition, like economic crisis or nature's disaster, or you make a wrong decision, a wrong call in your investment or your career, you may be affected, and it can wipe you off. Then sometimes while working, maybe happily thinking that nothing will happen, then suddenly your company send you some retrenchment letter, or the better of company will give you a voluntary separation scheme. Then out of the blue, you suddenly get a shock of your life. Your income stream has been threatened. So all this can give rise to fear, worry, anxiety. Then the most difficult to endure is, of course, separation during crisis time. Because when the crisis hit, especially economic crisis, or certain type of mortgage crisis or whatever, where a lot of people are affected, then even the banks are affected, then property are affected, property collapse, economic collapse, the bank also go bust, and the country currency also get wiped off. And these are very common. Sometimes it attacked the whole region. That's why we also had our share of the financial crisis of 97, 98, where a lot of wealthy tycoons are wiped off their wealth. Then the man in the street are also affected. Suddenly we don't own anything, or a big portion of our wealth are wiped off. So these are realities. So separation can actually bring about very traumatic experience, especially separation due to death, loved ones and all those things. Then the next one is when we are with people whom we don't like. That one we will elaborate later. Today one is more towards the fifth. Then number 7 is when things don't go your way, when your expectations in life are not met, and when you are not able to get what you want in life, it will also lead to suffering. Then the 8th reality will cover all those that are not included in the first 7. The Buddha said, in short, it is due to our own deluded mind, self-delusion, sakkayaditthi, that condition us to deludedly grasp onto this 5 aggregate of form and mind that we call dukkha or suffering. So the 5 grasping aggregate, upadana khandhas, is dukkha. So we meditate to develop this understanding, to understand what do we mean by this 5 aggregate, the 2 aspects which I have taught you all. The first aspect is as a human being, we have a human body, physical body, and a consciousness trapped inside. The Buddha said, this is not you. This is karmically conditioned for you to come to this world. So, the physical body is just element, goes the way of nature. It has got no knowing, it cannot be you. That's why you have to accept that body is just a body. Body is impermanent, goes the way of nature. If you attach and cling, you will suffer. And because it's impermanent, it's not a permanent, unchanging entity. That's why it's anatta, non-self, empty. So this understanding is very important. And everything that arises, like the Buddha said, is all dependent, originating, condition arising, cause of phenomena. So this 5 aggregate is the same, depending on the causes and condition behind it arises because of karmic. The life force come, the karmic nature condition the physical body, the DNA through karma. Then you have the karmic consciousness that is trapped inside. Then you have the life force that come from the karmic nature. These 3, when they are functioning together, it animates us into a human form. This life, human being. And it exists as if it's real. But this is not you, like the Buddha said. Not only physical body, not you. You check your feeling, your perception, the other aggregates of mind. Mental state, sankhara, activity of mind. Consciousness, they are all not you. Because when they arise and pass away, you didn't die. So how can they be you? So if these 5 aggregate or rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana are not you, then who are you? What are you? That is what meditation is all about. Then the second aspect is the mind has 4 aggregates. But when we perceive things through our senses, we bring the external form into the mind and create the second aspect of the 5 aggregate of form and mind. And this one is called our mental 5 aggregate, which is basically the thought, our thinking element, the mundane mind. And this thought also have the universal characteristics of anicca, dukkha, anatta. If you meditate, you can see them clearly. If you have mindfulness and awareness, you can observe them and understand. Then you will know who are you, what are you, how you function as a human being. And this is very important. When you understand all this, you will know how to free your mind. You will know how to relinquish your delusion, sakkayaditthi. You will know how to straighten your view, where you observe and you see how the form and mind deceive you, delude you, and condition you into grasping, clinging, and holding on to all these things. But the difficult part of the Dhamma is both aspects has its own reality. The form and mind, although not me, not you, but it has its own reality. Because this form and mind, which is karmically conditioned, this one is subject to karma. It exists within the conditioned world. And there is a conditional reality, conventional reality, that this form and mind is as real as can be. Where this one can live life, even though your vehicle and tool. That's why the confusion lies here. It involves the understanding of the conditioned world, the unconditioned, and the form and mind. You cannot understand these three aspects. You cannot develop the wisdom to free. You will attach. So living beings' problem is they think the form and mind is real. They attach, they cling, they grasp. That's why the first noble truth reality, the eight condition, has power over them, cause them misery, suffering, fear, worry, anxiety, sorrow and lamentation. All this dukkha, the Buddha called, is the result of that sakkayaditthi, self-delusion, where you fail to understand what the form and mind is. So meditate to understand this is very important, very, very important. That's why I am trying to teach you the whole solution to the first noble truth reality. If you understand this and penetrate this, then you will know there is another nature within which is beyond the form and mind. And that nature is the unconditioned, beyond the form and mind, beyond the so-called human being. And what is that nature? That nature is not a living being. It cannot come out and live life. But it has its nature, its character, which is very unique. That nature is the unconditioned. Or sometimes they call it the oneness nature, the source and all those things. But all this you cannot understand until you meditate, until your mundane mind ceases. Then you will realize the true mind, the silent mind. That the first thing that comes out from this nature is you must have a form and mind to come to this existential world. Then when you meditate to connect to that form and mind, then only you can come into contact with this true nature within. Without the form and mind, you cannot come, you cannot gain access to that true nature. So that is where the difficulty is. Then when you silence your mind to meditate, to connect, then you realize there is another nature within that is beyond the form and mind. But the first thing to come out from that nature is just the awareness. The pure awareness, nothing else. Because the unconditioned is just aware, finished. But that nature is responsible for the creation of the thought process, the thinking. That's why Huineng came to realize that how amazing is this wonderful Dhamma. That nothing is apart from that nature. We are all the condition, mundane mind, creation, they come from there. That's why from there it arises. Even though it's unconditioned, but nothing is apart from the unconditioned. So you meditate, realize this, then you awaken, then you become very different. If there is this nature that I can perfect to develop the spiritual nature, this form and mind, I only need to take care of the karmic nature. Then you know how to live. This one has its duty. That's why the Buddha said, of right duty is the noble disciple of the Buddha. So right duty is very important. That's why they got 4 great qualities of good conduct, of upright conduct, of wise conduct, then of dutiful conduct. You must do your duty. So when you can do your duty, it means you have wisdom. And when you have wisdom, you have right conduct and good conduct. So all these are natural character or characteristics of an enlightened being. So understanding this can help you solve the first noble truth reality. Whatever that arises, the Buddha said, there are causes and conditions behind. This stanza, the moment Asaji spoke and Sariputta heard, he became a Sotapan. How is this possible? Well, it's very easy. If you have been listening, if you have understood what I explained just now, you can also awaken and become enlightened. Because according to the Buddha, we live in a conditioned world where everything is dependent originating. So nothing arises without causes and conditions. So within the moment, whatever reality, first noble truth reality, when it arises, what the Buddha is trying to tell you is, there are already causes and conditions behind. You cannot argue with the reality, with truth, with nature. Your nature is dependent originating. So it means, whatever happens, we have to accept that reality. That is the first, most powerful understanding. And that one is a wisdom, Yoniso Manasikara. If the Buddha already said, whatever that arises, there are causes and conditions behind, I have to accept through the understanding. Because it can never be otherwise. At this moment is the reality. We have everything set in place, the condition, causes and conditions already there. So when you accept means what? You are at peace. You are not afflicted. You don't suffer. You don't have to go through all the movement of thought that create fear, worry, anxiety, and insecurity. Recall to memory, sorrow, and lament. No more. Take for example, what Brother Teoh went through, or what the neighbor went through. Okay? When it happened, because she don't have the Dhamma, the opposite neighbor, that's why it's very traumatic. She cannot accept. Why me? Why my husband? Not anybody else. Because in this world, nobody thinks it will happen to them unless that thing become a reality. So not able to confront is because they don't have the Dhamma. You have the Dhamma, it's meant to be. Like Minjun said, payback time. Maybe the life force is already up. It has to go. There are causes and conditions behind. You cannot argue with nature. Why? The reality is when it hit, it hit. So we have to accept. Acceptance is wisdom. Liberation of mind. When we accept, we are at peace. The mind does not move. The mind does not project. The mind does not create attachment, delusion, craving, clinging, grasping, wanting things your way. No more. Straight away, the mind that has the Dhamma sees the truth, the reality, see things as they are, accept the reality and move. Move means what? Do what you have to do. With a clear mind that is not affected, ask yourself, what has happened? Like the neighbor. Death has occurred. There is a reality. Understand? Like the Buddha said, no amount of sorrow and lamentation can bring back the dead. It has already happened. It's delusion or foolishness to cling on to it, grasp onto it, and become miserable over it. You have lost your loved one. Traumatic enough. You somehow want to cling on and create more suffering. That is true delusion. So, ability to accept and come to terms with the reality of the moment is the Dhamma wisdom that we must develop. So whatever happens, remind yourself not to react, not to become fearful or unhappy or miserable. Accept the reality, then reflect, contemplate. What actually happened? Okay, this is a reality. Then ask yourself, how can I move? Or if it's not death, then something else, like Minjun's case, got to go through operation, then you do what you have to do. Because the reality occurred already. Do what you have to do means what? On behalf, as parent, you can help the daughter to ask for forgiveness. She can do it on her own, but the immediate duty is to understand that these are coming from the past. Conditions arise. This is the reality she has to go through. It could be a blessing in disguise or whatever. Not important. The important thing is the Dhamma is there. Then when you have that understanding, that's why they were able to actually confront it very well after that and do what they have to do. So, on behalf, ask for forgiveness, then invoke power of merits because they have the merits already. Then after that, they have their cousin, the contact to contact and do the video call, and they monitor every moment. Then we invoke power of merits together with Kayamita's blessing on the day of operation or before. We send our metta and all those things. So all these are tangible solutions ways and causes that can actually help Minjun. So all this is what Dhamma is. If you do based on understanding the Dhamma way, then there is a possibility of enhancing the whole of the conditioned world's nature's laws movement for the benefit of your loved one. That's why you can invoke power of merits for causes and conditions to turn around. For yourself, for your loved one, or for anybody, like Kayamita do for all those Kayamita's loved one or related one. So this is Dhamma. Then, for the neighbor's case, if she has the Dhamma, she should accept the reality and move on. Do what you have to do. No need to lament over all this thing. Like the Buddha said, no amount of sorrow or lamentation can bring back the dead. Like Brother Teoh's father passed away, or Sister Pamasri's father-in-law passed away, they do what they have to do. And because they are close to me, when they inform me, I visited them at the wake and all those things, and we send our wreaths and all those things. Even Kayamita also sent one. My family, personally, we sent one. Then HABA also sent, and many other organizations that know them also sent. Is because of Brother Teoh and the father's parami, and also Sister Padmasri's parami. So their loved ones and relatives, they were all there. And especially I remember Brother Teoh's brother, sister, they all, and the niece, nephew, they were very happy because of the video thing. We were able to connect them for, and Brother Teoh did it very well. So everything you all did very well. It's meant to be. So with understanding, we can confront the noble truth, the first noble truth reality, even death, separation, disease, or whatever, with wisdom, following the Dhamma way, then everything will fall into place. Then there is nothing in this world that we cannot confront. So this is the ultimate penetrative, noble understanding. So hopefully with this, we can end the sharing today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So hopefully with this sharing, since it's recorded, Kayamita can actually make use of it to actually develop more understanding to overcome whatever first noble truth reality when you confront them. Okay?